welcome to TWF Dynamite. I am Jim Ross here with Trini Kwan and with Wade Barrett. And today on Dynamite, we're going to hear about who's going to be fighting, Melinda, Mela Pappy for the TWF Women's Heavyweight Winnings. Well, that's what we're going to hear, Trini Kwan said, because yesterday on NXT, we don't know who's going to win. I mean, we did know that Nikki Cross beat Charlotte Flair, and we wonder if that means it's going to be them. So we're going to hear what's going to happen today. Well, I'll also tell you one thing. Way Barrett said, it was only up to Theodore Long, and and Ashley Williams to just make that pick. But now we're going to hear from one of them now. All right. Today, Theodore Long says, today, Mela Pappy, we're not sure. You see, Charlotte Flair wanted to fight Mela Pappy for the TWF Women's Heavyweight Winnings. Then what happened on NXT yesterday was that Nikki Cross fought Charlotte Flair. Nikki Cross beat Charlotte Flair in a fight, a time fight. So that leads us into A, does Mela Pappy fight Charlotte Flair, or does Mela Pappy fight Nikki Cross? Now, the smooth answer might be she would fight them. So, anyway, the way I look at it is that since Nikki Cross beat Charlotte Flair in a very short time yesterday, that it would be Nikki Cross meeting Mela Pappy first. Then whoever wins from that fight would either beat Charlotte Flair or Nikki Cross. But Nikki Cross would fight Mela Pappy first. Then Mela Pappy would have to fight Charlotte Flair sometime down the road for the TWF Women's Heavyweight Winnings. Well, we did hear from Theodore Long now, so now we gotta hear from this creep. Well, Seth Rollins said, is everyone so happy to see me here on Dynamite? Yeah, wouldn't I look so cool in one of those IW or AEW shirts? Ha ha! Too bad that's not happening. Gotta troll those IW and AEW followers. Anyway, so the man that I would definitely like to be trolling, he would be Ethan Lightfoot. You see, this big lots offshoot, he has been standing in the way of greater good for some time. And I don't like it when folks stand in the way of greater good. Yeah, you talk about standing in the way of greater good, Seth Rollins, and everything you've done since, 29 between YL has truly nothing to do with greater good, and all about your self-worth. You are no unlike Bob Backlund, that started going around striking people, putting the chicken wing on folks, and asking for onlook. You are no unlike Steven Richards, who went around cleaning everything up for 2 years and thought he was doing greater good. You are not unlike CM Punk, who went around and told everyone that straight edge was the right life way, but at the end of the day he was just doing evil shit, being a creep, and he wasn't helping anyone. And you are nothing. You are unlike Mustafa. You are not unlike Mustafa Ali, who started the uprising. Said he was doing it for the greater good, but at the end of the day, he was only doing it for himself. So, Seth Rollins, do you truly think that you are anything unlike Bob Backlund, Steven Richards, CM Punk, or Mustafa Ali? Well, as I told you, Ethan, Bob Backlund, Steven Richards, CM Punk, and Mustafa Ali all gave up for their fight for the greater good. Yeah, Bob Backlund went around from between 94 while to between 97 while. He yielded in that fight for the greater good. Steven Richards started his fight for the greater good from 20 to 2001 while, gave up on that. CM Punk yielded for the greater good starting in 2009 while, and then gave up by 2010 while. Or so. Why? Who effing knows? But he yielded. And Mustafa Ali, he gave up from 2020 while to 2021 while. Then he yielded. And I never gave up on like them. Alright? I never gave up fighting for the greater good like they are. Hey, you talk about fighting for the greater good, Seth Rollins, but you wouldn't know anything about that. All you are is a creep and a bully. And I should know, James Storm said. I should know. Because at one time, I used to follow you. But then I made that mistake. Following you. James Storm, the drunker, the man who could have had it all in IW, but never seemed to really make the big one. The man who spent all his years in WCW, NWA, TNAW, never really made anything great, with maybe you were a 5-time or a 6-time or 7-time NWA team winner with who? Chris Harris? Gonner? I don't know. Christopher Daniels? Oh yeah, you were like, a 6-time TNA IW team winner with who? Robert Roode? Who cares, right? A 1-time IW heavyweight winner. Then you went to WWE for about 3 months. You weren't making as much in WWE as you'd be making in IW. So you went back to IW, got effed over, went to the NWA for a 2-4 run. Yeah, went back to IW again, right? But at the end of the day, you haven't really done shit. I took you in, James Storm. I made you something. I made you a 2-time TWF team winner. Hell, I made you the TWF heavyweight winner. Hell, I made you the 2-time TWF Allegheny Earldom winner. You didn't make me and hell, made you the TWF hard middle winner many times too, right? You didn't do shit for me. And I made a mistake and I was in the NWO. I made a mistake and then I was with you. The way I look at it, Ethan says, you are nothing more than a creep and a bully. And I guess James Storm probably knows more about that than anyone else. You're going to be friends with a guy who keeps falling all the fucking time, James Storm. He falls so many times, Seth Rollins says. Ethan, this man is worthless. He's been ahead of many teams that either came undone. He's been ahead of many teams that never really did any well. And the only thing that anyone can ever talk about him is, whoa, he behaves like he's a cowboy. But at the end of the day, James Storm, you stand in the way of greater good, and I took you out the same. Well, then, if that's right, then, well, here's the greater good. The final call by James Storm, Jim Ross says, on Seth Rollins. Now we got the fight formats coming in the ring now. And now Ethan, Lightfoot, is now going to get the 1-2-3 with the help of James Storm. 1, 2, 3. Ding, ding, ding. Here is your winner, Ethan Lightfoot. So after weeks of Ethan Lightfoot losing to Seth Rollins, he finally truly gets his first win, Jim Ross says, against Seth Rollins. Trini Kwan said, Seth Rollins spent all that time putting down James Storm, all that time putting down Ethan Lightfoot, bringing up all their mishaps, bringing up all the losses they went through. But at the end of the day, Ethan Lightfoot beat Seth Rollins, so I guess that makes Seth Rollins the loser. Well, Wade Barrett said James Storm had no business coming out. He had no business putting his ugly Jack Pacific doll, shoe, boot, whatever, in Seth Rollins' lair. So, in other words, Ethan Lightfoot may have beat Seth Rollins, but it was with the help of James Storm, who hasn't done really anything good in his time. So really, Ethan Lightfoot should really be helping James Storm out. Should really be thanking James Storm for helping him. Because if it wasn't for James Storm, Ethan Lightfoot would have not beat Seth Rollins here today on Dynamite. Well, Jim Ross said you got the right to your thought, the right to your belief, but I believe Ethan Lightfoot, who is from a Disney Pixar film, could beat anyone any day. And Seth Rollins likes to talk about fighting for the greater good, but he's actually fighting for the greater evil. Well, then that's true, Jim Ross. You're right about that. Trini Kwan said Seth Rollins wouldn't know anything about the greater good if it bit him on his booty. Well, I understand now that Gorilla Monsoon now is now going to be talking with Ethan Lightfoot. Well, that's right, Jim Ross. I'm going to be talking with Ethan Lightfoot here on Dynamite. All right, Ethan. After weeks of dealing with Seth Rollins, you got the first win over him. Yes, I did, Gorilla Monsoon. I got the first win over Seth Rollins here. And I want to say that Seth Rollins, you like to talk about fighting for the greater good, but you're only fighting for the greater evil. And then you're going to bitch, and you're going to say, oh, well, I only beat you since of James Storm's help. Yeah, well, James Storm had enough of your bullshit too, knocked you on your booty, and I just took the upside on it. But at the end of the day, I want to say thanks to James Storm for helping me, But I got the first win over Seth Rollins. And Seth Rollins can bitch and say it was an unfair fight, unfair match, he wasn't ready, whatever bullshit forgiveness he wants to come up with. But at the end of the day, Gorilla Monsoon, the good doer beat the evil doer. Well, Ethan Lightfoot, I know that your time in the TWF, when you first got here from McDonald's Happy Meal last year, you had your dealings with Sami Zayn, and then later on when you came here from Big Lots and this offshoot, you started having your dealings with Seth Rollins, and things really didn't go very well. But you got your first win over him. Yes, I did. And I just want to say, James Storm, thank you for helping me beat Seth Rollins. That was truly needed. Well, James Storm, you got something to say, don't you? Yeah, I got something to say, Gorilla Monsoon. See, I made some mistakes. And yes, my time in WCW and NWA and TNAW and WWE and TNAW and IW and NWA and IW weren't greatest. Yes, I should have won the IW heavyweight winnings many times. But at the end of the day, the only thing I ever did do was NWA team winnings, IW team winnings, and a one-time IW heavyweight winner. Yes, it could have been whatever the grounds is. Things didn't work out, But at the end of the day, I made mistakes like following Seth Rollins, like being in the NWO with CM Punk. But at the end of the day, yeah, I'm done with Seth Rollins and his bullshit. I know Seth Rollins is a bully, a weakling, and a creep. And he want to put down Ethan Lightfoot. That's like the same way of me being put down when I used to follow him. The same way I got put down when I followed Seth Rollins and I followed CM Punk. So if he wants to come at me, Seth Rollins wants to get even. Well, he knows where he can get even. Well, Ethan Lightfoot and James Storm are standing up to Seth Rollins and his evil. Back to you, Jim Ross. Well, thank you, Gorilla Monsoon, for talking with Ethan Lightfoot and James Storm here on Dynamite, which it looks like it is all the time we got here for Dynamite. I'm Jim Ross for Trini Kwan and Wade Barrett. We hope you like Dynamite, and we'll see you tomorrow for Impact or Strike or Hit.